Alright, so Deadpool and Wolverine, was it good? Was it a lazy cash grab? Well, surprisingly, kinda, but it was great nonetheless. I'ma just dive right in with what I liked, which some are no surprise. First, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, his character was hilarious. This movie was one of the funniest I've ever seen, while also being not boring or just only jokes, like some other recent Marvel movie.
Bruh.
Ryan Reynolds kills it. The acting just seems too real. I just only see Wade Wilson, and even Ryan Reynolds in real life is Wade Wilson, so he's just perfect, and his quips are funny as ever. Wolverine, played by the one and only Hugh Jackman, was also surprisingly funny. Funny when he doesn't even try to be, not like he's a fool or a doofus, but his subtle jokes and dark humor when he's angry is amazing. I also love the relationship throughout the movie of Deadpool annoying Wolverine to the point where they just fight each other because they are both angry at one another, then later them both being best buds. I'm also glad that Wolverine doesn't come in at like the middle of the movie because this movie is only 2 hours long, which seems too short to be that good, at least to me, but I can say there are no scenes in this that seem wasteful or not important, except for one which will be a spoiler kinda I'll get to later. But yeah, Wolverine is pretty much there with Deadpool within the first 20 minutes of the movie, I'd say, and he never leaves Deadpool's side after. Also, while there are a lot of cameos, not gonna say which ones, but this felt as big as a crossover as Endgame, and every single one felt justified to be there on screen. They also showed a lot of what fans have wanted from particular characters, or really just one particular character, and it was so cool. If you've seen the movie, you'll know which person I'm talking about. Action was done really well. I thought it was good. I was a little let down. I'll get to that as well. The main villain, which can be really two people who don't even work together, but both were enjoyable. So, kind of spoiler, not really, it's in the trailers, but the bald woman who happens to be Charles Xavier's sister, named Cassandra Nova, was very menacing because of how strong her power was and kind of gave off Scarlet Witch into the multiverse vibes of how unsettling her power could be. Also, what shocks me is that this is rated R. I really never saw anything besides some bloody scenes which weren't even that bad, and somehow this is rated R. Honestly, I think kids are fine to watch this. I'm not even trolling or anything, but that's nothing to do with the film being bad. That was just something odd I found. Also, going back to Wolverine, I like how he actually has an emotional side to him and how him being considered the worst Wolverine, he still ended up being a hero. Not much else good things to say. The CGI was perfect, no problems there. Yeah, pretty great, honestly, and I would recommend to anyone wanting to have a good time. This is a film that doesn't really take itself super serious and just has fun, but also can be emotional. So, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd say it was almost on par for the first Guardians of the Galaxy. One more thing to add is the music choice is great, and there are scenes where music is incorporated into what's happening, not just it being in the background, which I really appreciate. So now I'll be getting to the things that I personally didn't like. These are kind of my opinion type things, and I'm sure people don't agree, but one thing I felt was lacking was like grounded fighting. Deadpool felt way too overpowered. In the first two movies, he would struggle, but now he seems to have no problem against whoever. Spoiler warning, kinda, not really, but I thought I'd let you know. This Deadpool, I believe, is from a different Earth, so it's not the same Deadpool necessarily as the one in the first two that we've seen. But I believe the same things have happened. So he used Cable's like time traveling watch, and yeah, so he brought like people back. He brought his X Force members back, I believe, it was either that he brought him back or this was the different universe where they didn't all die. I don't know, can't really remember. But yeah, so he's been working a normal job with Peter. If you've seen the first one, you would know, or sorry, the second one. If you've seen the second one, you'll know who Peter is. And he gets captured by the TVA, which honestly, they were tolerable. I still wish they didn't have to go with the multiverse route, but it doesn't it's just because it doesn't feel as grounded and it starts to feel lazy and just like fairy tale like where they just make up things as they go along, like I said. What I mean by that is like, the writers just can do whatever they want, it seems, and there's no explanation to it. But honestly, it was fine in this movie coming from someone that's tired of it. Deadpool even fourth wall breaks and mentions how bad it is, so that was funny. But back to what I was saying, it's been, I believe, years since he was Deadpool, or a while, can't really remember. Something like that. and he's not rusty at all. It's like he never stopped being Deadpool. So it just kind of took me out of the believability, which movies don't seem to care for anymore, sadly. They don't really try to necessarily be realistic, which, you know, it is a movie, but still, I feel like movies are better when they try to be more believable. But that's just like a little pet peeve thing, nothing major. Also, staying on the topic of fighting, the action seems super CGI'd. I never ever felt like there was any hand to hand combat at all, which Deadpool was basically doing the entire time in the last two. He does have scenes where he's hand to hand, but not enough to be to my liking. But it's not about me, so whatever. Another thing I disliked, kind of spoiler, I guess, it's kind of in the trailers, but there are other types of Deadpools and they come in at the end. And honestly, I wish that the scene was cut because not only was it pointless, except for being another extended scene of Deadpool and Wolverine fighting alongside each other, it just didn't seem to fit at all and never was explained of how they all got there at the same time. And honestly, I'm just done with seeing the same character, but they are wearing something slightly different. Like, one has a cowboy hat and a revolver. Like, it's just not that interesting, in my opinion. One last thing, it's not really a bad thing, just kind of disappointing, but Deadpool's old friends like Colossus, who I actually don't even remember talking, or if he did, he said a few words, and also Negasonic Teenage Warhead, they didn't really do anything. They're kind of just background characters for the scenes where Deadpool's at his apartment. It's kind of a shame because I liked them and I really thought they'd play more of a role, but they don't. All in all, you'll really like this film, and I don't think it brought Marvel back necessarily, but it definitely is steering in the right direction. I would give this film a 9 out of 10. I feel like an 8.5 is more how I'm feeling, but I could definitely rewatch this a couple more times and it still would be enjoyable. So, yeah, 9 out of 10 is fine with me. Please like and subscribe, and goodbye.